Hi, I'm Evan Flax.
And I'm Emily Grabowskis.
And we're going to be talking about the synchronization of two brains. How two brains make one synchronized mind in the inferior frontal cortex. FNIRS-based hyperscanning during cooperative singing. So the purpose of this study was to examine how two brains can make one synchronized behavior between two people. Now, researchers looked at this because singing together is a common form of communication across all cultures, and it reflects an index of cognitive synchronization and cooperation of human brains. Now, they expected for brain activity in Broca's area, the left IFC, and the right IFC. They examined the brain activity during the experiment using functional near-infrared spectroscopy and a process called hyperscanning. For the experiment, the participants were split into two conditions. There were 15 pairs for the singing experiment and 14 pairs for the humming experiment. In the singing experiment, there were 8 male pairs and 7 female pairs, and for the humming experiment, there were 9 male pairs and 5 female pairs. The stimulus was 3 common Japanese nursery rhymes that all participants were familiar with, and the melodies were played and lasted for 20 to 30 seconds for each trial. So this is how the experiment worked. It was a 3x3 model, where they would start with participant 1 singing or humming, and participant 2 watching them sing or hum. And then they would have participant 2 sing or hum, and participant 1 watching that happen. And then they would finish with both participants singing or humming the same melody as the first 2 trials together. With each of these 3 trials, they would do 3 different conditions. First, they would start with a face-to-face trial. Next, they would do a face-to-wall, where they would put a partition between each of the participants. And finally, they would do a second face-to-face evaluation. Now you can see here from this chart a little bit of what I was explaining. And in each trial, whether it was a solo singing participation or singing together, there were 30 seconds of rest, then 100 seconds of humming or singing, then another 30 seconds of rest, and then another 100 seconds of humming or singing for each trial. So what researchers found about the coherence under the singing condition was that no matter what, the coherence increase for the pair trial was better than for the individual trial, regardless of the visibility condition. So you can see here in this chart that for the face-to-face, that for both of the face-to-face trials, the pair coherence increase was higher than the pair coherence increase with the partition in the middle. But for all 3 visibility conditions, this third bar on each visibility condition was higher than the other 2, showing that the coherence increase when there was a pair was higher than the individual trials. They also found that the coherence increase for the singing condition was found in the inferior frontal cortex on the left side.
So just like Evan was saying, for the singing condition, the humming found the same thing, and the graph would have looked very similar. But what we found for this one was that in the humming experiment, not only was the left IFC activated, but also the right IFC, which is why there are a lot more parts of the brain here on this chart. So to review that, the pair was always, more coherence than the single, regardless of face-to-face or face-to-wall, and the coherence increase was found in more brain areas, including the right inferior frontal cortex and the left for humming. These 2 graphs, this one is similar to the singing condition, but this is the right inferior frontal cortex, which was not found in the singing condition. So during the humming condition, the increase of coherence for the right IFC was independent of the visibility, as you can see the face-to-face with the partition and the face-to-face second. The figure on the right shows the activation of the right IFC during this condition using the brain scanning that they were using. So the reason that they did this study was the results that they found showed that cooperative singing and the synchronization, so in the pair condition, would be beneficial to people whose sense of shared cooperation was weak. So singing in the pair was going to be much better than singing solo. Same goes for humming. And it also showed that out-of-tune individuals can harmonize with in-tune individuals, enhancing the emotional relief and pleasure that you would get from music. And it also yields a sense of trust and cooperation when you're singing or humming with another person versus singing alone.
What was most interesting about this study was that in testing the visibility condition, they showed that cooperative singing and synchronization when singing doesn't always happen because we physically change the way that we're singing to match those around us, but in our brains, there's something that neurologically happens that allows this synchronization to occur. Thank you.
Thank you.